You're about to hear one of the most difficult violin pieces ever written. One violinist called it 3 minutes of pure, uninterrupted violinist hell. It's called The Labyrinth. Like every piece of work, it reveals something interesting about its creator. His name was Pietro Locatelli, an Italian composer who wrote an intriguing subtitle under The Labyrinth. Easy to enter, difficult to escape. Here it is. If you're like me, your ears are probably bleeding right now. It sounds like what you'd hear if someone tossed a cat into the dishwasher. Why is something so difficult to play so awful? As we'll see in this episode, it has a little something to do with Locatelli's personality, and it has more in common with bad business writing than you'd think. Say you're on a conference call with a dozen leaders at your company. You're supposed to tell them the company's new software is selling very well. But that might come across as simplistic, you think. And after all, someone on the phone just said disintermediated. So instead, you open your mouth and say, we're seeing real commercial progress in a rapidly evolving software pipeline. Is this impossible to understand? No, but it's ugly. It's unnatural, and it's not sympathetic to your readers or your listeners. It's like you're making them decode it. Why do we say things like that? If we're being completely honest with ourselves, often it's because we want to fit in or sound knowledgeable. And this is perfectly natural. It's human nature. But if this desire becomes stronger than our desire to communicate well, we don't communicate well. In other words, sometimes bad writing comes at those times when we're feeling a little insecure. My worst writing or conversations always happen when I'm trying way too hard to impress someone. In many presentations or papers, often you'll see the same thing. The writer's trying so hard to show us the depth of his or her knowledge that we can't understand a thing. Which brings us back to Locatelli. The man was horribly insecure. As it turns out, he was so afraid of being copied that he didn't allow professional musicians into his concerts. It's probably why he felt a need to taunt those who try to play the labyrinth. He was incredibly gifted, yes, but he lacked confidence, and when he tried to make up for that by showing off how talented he was, sometimes the result was just bad music. Likewise, in business, posturing and insecurity often lead to bad writing. It's not that there's never a place for four-syllable words or technical language, it's that they should never be used if their primary mission is to make you sound important. If the number one goal of writing is to communicate an idea, any word you use should aid that goal, not take away from it. When you cook a steak, you use salt to bring out the steak's flavor, not to show people how much salt you have in the kitchen. Complicated words are like salt. They're best in moderation and when they don't draw attention to themselves. So what's the solution? Well, number one, realize that we don't actually sound smarter just because we're trying to. If I told you that we've come to a point of architectural vision alignment with our customers, would you really think I'm smarter than if I told you our customers are pleased with the design of our new stores? Second, if you want to impress someone, ask one question to guide your writing. Is this clear? If you can check that box, it means you're writing with confidence. And if you're not sure, give it to someone else who can empathize with your audience and ask them. Third point, if you have people reporting to you and you sense they're trying to impress you, Ask for plain English. After all, people can't write or think well if they're insecure around you. And finally, to write confidently about something, your sales, your competitors, how the new software works, you have to first understand it. You've got to do your homework. We'll talk about this more in our next video. Business writing is bad because, like Locatelli, sometimes we try so hard to sound ingenious that we miss the whole point. In business, sometimes the most sophisticated and intelligent thing to do is not trying to look sophisticated and intelligent at all. In the next episode, I'll explain what third graders can teach us about writing well, and how an editor's 5-word question taught me the greatest writing lesson I've ever learned.
Hi, I'm Ricky McCroskey, and I hope you enjoyed this series. I recently created an online course for those of you who are interested in making your writing clearer, sharper, and more memorable. It's called Writing That Stands Apart, and you can access it by clicking on the nearby link or by going to my website, rickymccroskey.com. Thanks very much.